At Thanksgiving dinner, in a house filled with 32 people, my 10-year-old daughter went into anaphylactic shock from a severe peanut allergy. My sister watched her lips turn blue and said, "Let her choke. She is always so dramatic." Nobody called 911. I was working a 24-hour shift as a paramedic, saving other people's children. I did not cry when I found out. I did not scream. I filed eviction papers. 6 days later, my parents were homeless, and my sister was begging on my doorstep. It was supposed to be the first Thanksgiving Lily would remember as perfect. That morning, I kissed her forehead in the gray pre-dawn light. She was still asleep, her hair splayed across the pillow like copper wire, one small hand curled under her chin. She had been excited for weeks. 10 years old, and this was the first year my parents had explicitly invited her to their Thanksgiving celebration. Not just tolerated her presence. Invited her. I should have known better. The shift started at 6 in the morning. I had been working as a paramedic for 9 years by then. Sarah, my name is Sarah, and I had gotten very good at keeping people alive in the back of an ambulance. I was less good at keeping my own family from hurting my daughter. I worked for the county, took every shift I could get. Holidays paid double time. We needed it. Single income, single mother, raising Lily alone since her father walked out when she was 2. He said he was not ready to be a parent. Funny how men can just decide that. Lily was born on a February morning during a snowstorm. 6 pounds, 4 ounces. She came out quiet, looking around with those huge hazel eyes like she was taking inventory of the world. The nurse said she had never seen a baby so calm. Lily stayed that way. Thoughtful. Careful. She asked questions like, "Why do people say they are fine when they are not? And do you think animals know we love them?" She drew pictures of our neighbor's cat and left them on his doorstep. She saved her allowance to buy birthday cards for kids in her class whose parents forgot. She was kind in a way that made me ache because I knew the world would not be kind back. My family made sure of that. My parents, Richard and Diane, lived in a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs that I had bought for them in 2019. Paid in full. $267,000. I had saved for 6 years, working doubles, picking up every overtime shift, skipping vacations, driving a car with a broken air conditioner. I did it because my father had a stroke, and they were drowning in medical debt. My sister Angela was 36, 2 years older than me, and she had never paid a single bill in that house. She lived there with her husband, Marcus, and their 2 children, Brittany and Joshua, ages 8 and 11. They did not pay rent. They did not pay utilities. They did not even buy their own groceries most weeks. I paid for everything. When Dad had his stroke, Angela called me crying. She said, "Sarah, you have to help. You are the one with a good job. You are the one who can fix this." I was 28. I had a toddler and a mortgage of my own. I took out a loan. I refinanced my house. I made it work because that is what you do for family. That is what I thought you did. Angela was the golden child. She always had been. Straight hair, blue eyes, loud laugh. She got good grades without trying, dated the quarterback, went to college on my parents' dime. She dropped out after a year and a half because she was finding herself, which apparently meant backpacking through Europe on their credit cards. When she came home, she moved back in. She never left. She married Marcus when she was 24. He was a car salesman with a smile that did not reach his eyes and a habit of blaming other people for his failures. They had kids fast. Brittany at 25. Joshua at 28. My parents treated those children like spun gold. Lily was another story. When Lily was 3, my mother bought Brittany a custom dollhouse for Christmas. 4 feet tall, handmade, painted pink with real shutters. It cost $800. Lily got a coloring book and a box of crayons from the dollar store. I asked Mom about it, casual, trying not to sound hurt. She said, "Well, Sarah, you know we are on a fixed income. We cannot spoil everyone." Fixed income. In the house I bought them. When Lily was 5, my parents threw a massive birthday party for Joshua. Rented a bounce house, hired a magician, invited 30 kids from his school. Lily's 5th birthday was 2 weeks later. They sent a card with a $20 bill inside. No call. No visit. Just, "Sorry we cannot make it, Sarah. Angela needs help with Joshua's science project." When Lily was 7, we all went to the zoo together. Lily held my mother's hand for exactly 4 minutes before Mom pulled away and said, "I need to help Brittany with the map, sweetie." Lily walked next to me the rest of the day, quiet, holding my hand so tight I could feel her pulse through her palm. On the drive home she asked, "Does Grandma not like me?" I lied. I said, "Of course she does, honey. She is just busy." Lily nodded, but she did not believe me. I could see it in her eyes. The pattern was relentless. Every holiday, every family dinner, every casual visit. Brittany and Joshua were fawned over. Lily was tolerated. My parents asked about their grades, their hobbies, their friends. They asked Lily if she was behaving. When Brittany made honor roll, my parents framed the certificate and hung it in the living room. When Lily made honor roll, my mother said, "That is nice, dear," and changed the subject. When Joshua joined Little League, Dad went to every single game, cheering so loud the other parents stared. When Lily asked if he wanted to come to her school play, he said, "I will try," and did not show up. Angela made it worse. She never corrected her kids when they excluded Lily. Never told them to share or be kind. I watched Brittany snatch toys out of Lily's hands and say, "This is mine. You cannot play with us." Angela laughed. She said, "Brittany is just spirited." I watched Joshua tell Lily she was ugly and stupid. Angela shrugged. She said, "Boys will be boys, Sarah. Do not be so sensitive." But I kept trying. I kept showing up. I kept paying their bills and pretending everything was fine because I wanted Lily to have a family. I wanted her to have grandparents who loved her, cousins who played with her, a sense of belonging. I wanted her to have what I never did. I was the scapegoat growing up. The one who could not do anything right. Angela got praise. I got criticism. Angela got chances. I got consequences. I thought if I was good enough, helpful enough, generous enough, it would change. I thought if I gave them everything, they would finally see me. See Lily. I was wrong. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, my mother called. She said, "Sarah, we are doing a big family Thanksgiving this year. Everyone is invited. I want Lily to come." I felt something warm bloom in my chest. Hope. Stupid, dangerous hope. I said, "Really? That would be wonderful, Mom. Lily would love that." Mom said, "Of course. She is part of the family." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. Lily was so excited. She talked about it every single day. She asked what she should wear, what she should bring, whether she could help cook. I told her we would make a pumpkin pie together, her favorite. We spent the evening before Thanksgiving in the kitchen, flour on our faces, laughing. She pressed the fork into the crust edges so carefully, tongue between her teeth in concentration. She said, "Do you think Grandma will like it?" I said, "She will love it." I believed it. I was an idiot. The shift on Thanksgiving Day was brutal. We started at 6 in the morning. By noon, we had already handled 2 car accidents, 1 heart attack, and a kitchen fire. The county was understaffed. The holiday meant everyone wanted time off, so those of us who worked got slammed. My partner, Jenna, was 26 and newer to the job. She kept looking at her phone, checking messages from her family. She said, "I feel bad leaving them." I said, "They will survive one Thanksgiving without you." She laughed, but it was forced. I told her about Lily, about how excited she was to finally be included. Jenna smiled. She said, "That is so sweet. I am glad it worked out." It did not work out. At 2:17 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. A text from Angela. It said, "Lily is being dramatic again. She says she cannot breathe. Can you come get her?" I stared at the message. My stomach turned cold. Lily had a severe peanut allergy. Severe. EpiPen in the purse. Call 911. Immediately severe. I had told my mother about it a dozen times. I had told Angela. I had sent emails. I had brought it up at every family gathering. I had made sure they knew. I called Angela immediately. She did not pick up. I called again. No answer. I called my mother. She picked up on the 5th ring. I could hear laughter and music in the background. I said, "Mom, what is going on with Lily?" She sighed, annoyed. She said, She is fine, Sarah. She is just being overdramatic. You know how she is. I said, what do you mean overdramatic? What happened? Mom said, she ate something and said her throat felt funny. I told her to drink some water. She keeps insisting she cannot breathe. Angela thinks she just wants attention. I felt my pulse spike. I said, Mom, Lily has a severe peanut allergy. Did she eat anything with peanuts? Silence. Then defensive, well, there might have been peanut oil in the stuffing. I did not think it was a big deal. She barely ate any. I said, where is she now? Mom said, she is in the garage. She was making a scene, and we have guests. Angela told her to calm down out there. The garage. My 10-year-old daughter, in anaphylactic shock, was in the garage because she was embarrassing them. I said, did anyone call 911? Mom said, of course not. She is fine. You are overreacting, just like always. I hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I told Jenna what was happening. She went pale. She said, go. I will cover for you. I ran to my supervisor, explained the situation. He said, go. Family emergency. We will manage. I broke every traffic law getting to that house. I do not remember the drive. I remember my hands on the wheel, white-knuckled. I remember the sound of my own heartbeat. I remember praying, which I had not done since Lily's father left. Please, please, please. I pulled into the driveway at 2:49. 32 minutes since Angela's text. 32 minutes since my daughter could not breathe. I ran to the garage. The side door was unlocked. I shoved it open. Lily was on the floor. She was on the concrete floor of the garage, curled on her side, gasping. Her lips were blue. Her face was swollen. Her eyes were unfocused. There was vomit on the ground next to her. She was wearing the dress we had picked out together, the soft gray one with the tiny flowers. It was wrinkled and stained. Her hair was stuck to her forehead with sweat. She looked at me and tried to say something, but no sound came out. I dropped to my knees beside her. I said, I am here, baby. I am here. I grabbed her EpiPen from my bag. My hands were steady. Muscle memory. I jabbed it into her thigh, held it there for 10 seconds. I tilted her head back, opened her airway. I called 911. I gave them the address, the situation, her vitals. Dispatch said an ambulance was 6 minutes out. Lily's breathing started to ease. Not much. Enough. Her eyes focused on me. She whispered, Mama. I said, you are okay. You are going to be okay. I held her. I stroked her hair. I felt her heart hammering against my palm. 6 minutes felt like 6 hours. The paramedics arrived. My colleagues. People I had worked with for years. They looked at me, at Lily, and their faces went hard. They did not ask questions. They loaded her into the ambulance. I climbed in with her. One of them, Marcus, not my brother-in-law, a different Marcus, said quietly, who left her in a garage? I said, my family. His jaw tightened. He said, I am sorry, Sarah. At the hospital, they stabilized her. The doctor said she had been minutes away from full respiratory failure. Minutes. If I had been 5 minutes later, if traffic had been worse, if I had not broken the speed limit, my daughter would be dead. The doctor asked what happened. I told him. His face went cold. He said, that is neglect. Criminal neglect. You need to file a report. I said, I will. They kept Lily overnight for observation. I sat next to her bed, holding her hand. She was asleep, breathing steady now, monitors beeping softly. I watched her chest rise and fall. I thought about her in that garage, alone, scared, unable to breathe. I thought about 32 people in that house, eating turkey and laughing, while my child was dying 20 feet away. I did not cry. I did not scream. I sat there, and I made a list. First, I called a real estate attorney. It was Thanksgiving night, but I found one who answered. I explained the situation. I said, the house is in my name. They live there rent-free. I want them out. He said, you can file for eviction. Given the circumstances, I can expedite it. We can have papers served by Monday. I said, do it. Second, I called my bank. I canceled the credit card I had given my parents for emergencies. I canceled the automatic payments for their utilities, their internet, their cell phones. I pulled access to the joint account I had set up to help with their expenses. I cut every single financial thread. Third, I called a police officer I knew from work. I told her what happened. She said, that is criminal neglect, Sarah. Failure to render aid. Reckless endangerment. You need to file a formal report. I said, I will be there first thing in the morning. Fourth, I sent one text message to my mother. It said, Lily almost died because you put her in a garage to avoid embarrassment. You have 6 days to vacate my house. The locks will be changed on December 1st. Do not contact me again. I turned off my phone. Lily woke up at 3 in the morning. She looked at me, groggy, confused. She said, Mama, I am sorry I ruined Thanksgiving. My heart broke. I said, Baby, you did not ruin anything. None of this was your fault. She said, Grandma said I was being dramatic. Aunt Angela said I was making a scene. I said, they were wrong. They were completely wrong, and I am never letting them near you again. She started to cry. Not loud. Quiet, shaking sobs. I climbed into the hospital bed next to her and held her. I said, I am so sorry. I am so sorry I was not there. I am so sorry I let them hurt you. She said, you did not let them. You did not know. I said, I should have. I should have protected you. We stayed like that until the sun came up. On Friday morning, I filed the police report. I gave them everything. Texts, emails, medical records, photos of the garage where they left her. The officer taking the report was a woman named Detective Linda Ramirez. She had 2 kids of her own. She looked at the photos and said, this is one of the worst cases I have seen. They put a child in anaphylaxis in a garage and went back to dinner. We will pursue charges. I said, thank you. My phone had 83 missed calls by the time I turned it back on. Most from my mother. Some from Angela. A few from my father. I deleted the voicemails without listening. I blocked their numbers. I blocked everyone except 2 cousins who had always been kind to Lily. I sent them a message explaining what happened. One responded immediately. She said, oh my God, Sarah. I am so sorry. I had no idea it was that bad. If you need anything, call me. The other never responded. Fine. On Saturday, I met with the real estate attorney. His name was David Chen, and he was efficient and cold in a way I appreciated. He said, the house is entirely in your name. They have no legal claim. Given the circumstances, the neglect, the danger to your child, we have grounds for immediate eviction. I will file the paperwork today. They will be served on Monday morning. I said, how long do they have? He said, 72 hours after being served. If they are not out by then, the sheriff will remove them. I said, good. He paused. He said, are you sure about this? Family evictions can get ugly. I said, they put my daughter in a garage while she was dying. I am sure. On Sunday, I took Lily home. She was quiet, withdrawn. She sat on the couch with her stuffed rabbit, the one she had had since she was a baby. She said, are Grandma and Grandpa mad at me? I said, they do not get to be mad. They do not get to feel anything about you anymore. She said, are we still a family? I said, you and I are a family. We are the only family that matters. She thought about that. Then she said, okay. On Monday morning, the eviction papers were served. I was not there. I did not need to be. David called me at 9:37. He said, they have been served. Your mother tried to refuse the papers. The process server explained that does not work. Your sister started screaming. It is done. I said, thank you. At 10:53, Angela called from a number I did not recognize. I almost did not answer. I did. She was sobbing. She said, Sarah, please. You cannot do this. We have nowhere to go. The kids. Sarah. Think about the kids. I said, I thought about my kid. You did not. She said, she was fine. She was not even that sick. I said, she almost died, Angela. The doctor said she was minutes from respiratory failure. You told her to go to the garage because she was embarrassing you. Angela said, I did not know it was that serious. You are always so paranoid about her allergies. I said, I told you. I told all of you. I sent emails. I reminded you every time we got together. You did not care because it was easier to ignore it. She said, please, Sarah. Please. Do not do this. We are family. I said, no. We are not. I hung up. On Monday afternoon, my mother called from my father's phone. I answered. She did not cry. She yelled. She said, how dare you? How dare you throw your family out on the street? After everything we have done for you. After everything we sacrificed. I said, what did you sacrifice, Mom? I bought your house. I paid your bills. I gave you everything, and you repaid me by almost killing my daughter. She said, we did not almost kill her. Stop being so dramatic. She ate something that disagreed with her. That is all. I felt something snap. I said, she has a severe peanut allergy. I told you that. For 7 years, I told you that. You put peanut oil in the food, watched her go into anaphylactic shock, and locked her in the garage because she was ruining your dinner party. You did not call 911. You did not call me until 30 minutes later. You left a 10-year-old child to die because it was inconvenient. My mother said, you are overreacting. You always overreact. This is why Angela is my favorite. She is reasonable. She does not make everything a drama. I said, Angela told Lily to let her choke. I heard it from the neighbor. Mrs. Patterson heard Angela say, let her choke. She is always so dramatic. That is who you are defending. Silence. Then my mother said, well, Lily does tend to exaggerate. I laughed. It was not a kind sound. I said, you have 72 hours. After that, the sheriff will remove you. Do not contact me again. I hung up. They tried everything. They sent my father to my house on Tuesday. I did not answer the door. They sent my aunt and uncle, people I had not spoken to in years. I told them to leave or I would call the police. They tried to get the cousins to intervene. One tried. I explained what happened. She stopped trying. They posted on social media, vague statements about ungrateful children and family betrayal. I did not respond. I did not care. On Wednesday, David called. He said, they contacted me. They want to negotiate. They are offering to pay rent. I said, no. He said, they are saying your mother is too sick to move. They are asking for an extension. I said, my mother was healthy enough to host a party for 32 people. She is healthy enough to move. No extensions. He said, understood. On Thursday, December 1st, at 8 in the morning, the sheriff arrived at the house. I was not there. David was. He sent me updates via text. 8:13, sheriff on site. Your parents are refusing to leave. 8:41, sheriff has explained they will be removed by force if necessary. Your sister is screaming. 9:17, they are packing. At 11:53, David sent a photo. The house was empty. The locks were changed. It was done. I took Lily to therapy. She needed it. The therapist, Dr. Caroline West, was kind and patient. She specialized in childhood trauma. Over the next few months, Lily talked about what happened. She talked about years of feeling unwanted. She talked about the garage, the fear, the cold concrete. She talked about not understanding why her grandparents did not love her. Drive West helped her process it. Slowly, Lily started to smile again. The police investigation moved forward. Detective Ramirez called me every few weeks with updates. She said, we are building a strong case. Failure to render aid, reckless endangerment, criminal neglect. The district attorney is interested. I said, good. In March, charges were filed. My mother and Angela were both charged. My father was not. He had been in another room and genuinely had not known what was happening. That did not make him innocent, but it made him less culpable. The trial was set for September. My mother and Angela both pleaded not guilty. Their lawyer argued that they had not known the severity of the allergy, that it was an accident, that I was vindictive and exaggerating. The prosecutor had the medical records. The doctor testified. The neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, testified that she heard Angela say, "Let her choke." The paramedics testified about the condition they found Lily in. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. My mother was sentenced to 2 years probation and 300 hours of community service. Angela got the same, plus mandatory parenting classes. It was not enough. It was never going to be enough. But it was something. I did not attend the sentencing. I did not need to. I had already moved on. Fast forward 18 months. Lily is 12 now. She does not ask about her grandparents anymore. She does not wonder why they do not call. She knows. She understands. And more importantly, she is okay. She made the honor roll again last semester. She joined the school art club. She has friends, real friends, who come over and laugh too loud and eat all the snacks. She is learning to trust that people can be kind. We moved. I sold my house, the one I had refinanced to buy theirs. I bought a smaller place, something manageable, something just for us. It has a backyard with a garden. Lily planted tomatoes and sunflowers. She talks about getting a cat. I said maybe next year. I do not know where my parents are living now. I do not know if Angela and Marcus are still together. I do not care. They tried to reach out once, about 6 months ago. A letter arrived. No return address. I recognized my mother's handwriting. I burned it without opening it. Lily watched me do it. She said, "Good." The cousins who were kind stayed in touch. One of them, Emily, comes to visit sometimes. She brings her kids. They play with Lily like she is a person, not a burden. It is nice. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. If I regret cutting off my family, pressing charges, destroying their lives. I do not. Not for a second. They made a choice when they put my daughter in a garage. They chose their comfort over her life. I chose her. I will always choose her. Lily asked me last week if I thought she was dramatic. I said, "No, baby. You are thoughtful, and you are careful, and you are kind. None of that is dramatic." She smiled. She said, "I do not think I am dramatic either." I said, "Good. Do not let anyone tell you that you are." She is learning that her feelings matter. That her safety matters. That she deserves to be loved without conditions. I am learning the same thing. We are both healing. It takes time. But we are doing it together. My parents lost the house. They lost their golden child's respect, eventually. Marcus left Angela 8 months after the trial. He said he could not handle the drama. Angela moved back in with my parents, wherever they ended up. I heard through Emily that they are struggling financially. That they blame me for everything. That they tell people I am vindictive and cruel. I do not care. I saved my daughter. That is all that matters. On Thanksgiving this year, Lily and I made pumpkin pie again. Just the two of us. We ate dinner at the kitchen table, quiet and peaceful. She said, "This is my favorite Thanksgiving." I said, "Mine too." And it was. No tension. No walking on eggshells. No pretending. Just us. She is safe now. That is all I ever wanted. So, what do you think? Did I go too far, or just far enough? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more stories about mothers who chose their children over toxic families, do not forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. I've got 2 more stories queued up for you, both about the moment we realize protecting our kids means walking away from the people who were supposed to love them. Click on whichever one calls to you. Until next time, remember, family is about who shows up, not who shows up in your DNA.